Once the Torah was given, not all the beauty of the Torah was clear to the Jews. We did not know everything about the Torah. We still don't know that much about it, believe it or not, because we're always finding new things. Throughout the generations, there's always new things coming up. Approximately 15 years ago, for the first time in history, people started to realize that other than the actual history part of the Torah and the orders that God gave the Jews and humanity, there are many hidden codes inside the Torah. We could not find them in previous generations for one very simple reason, because we did not have computers. When we don't have computers, for a person to find one code, I'm going to explain what codes are, but for a person to find one code equals skip of a name, a specific name that he's looking for by himself without a computer, may take him 1,000 years. What the computer does in less than a second, it can take a person 1,000 years to do it. Why? Because a person will have to search the Torah thousands of times from each letter. For instance, if you want to find a word that starts with Aleph, then he has to take the first Aleph and start all the combinations. He limits himself. Let's say he wants a skip of up to 1,000. So he has to go through all the Aleph, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the entire Torah. If he doesn't find, he goes to the second Aleph. And he goes 2, 3, 4, then to the next Aleph, and to the next Aleph, to the next. It will be forever. What the computer does in less than a second, a person will take him 1,000 years. Obviously, a person doesn't know what to look for by himself, is unable to find codes. That's why it became only popular in the last 15 years, since most people in the world have computers. They're even selling this program in some stores, Codes in the Torah. It's very inexpensive today. It used to be expensive, not anymore. There were many books written about it. There were television shows here in America and all over the world about it in different languages. Scientists, mathematicians, statistics, people that are in these fields, they investigated the Torah, mainly Genesis, the Sefer Bereshit, the first book, and they came out with one final conclusion, that this book obviously has divine information in it. That person was unable to predict such things and plan them inside the text in equal mathematical skips. I'm going to start. Any questions in any subject before I start? Because once I go into the subject, that's it, we in it. Okay. 750 years ago, we had a rabbi named the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman. And in his books, he mentioned something very interesting, that there are hidden codes inside the text of the Torah, which we are unable to know. You know, they are planted inside the Torah in a very clever way, but that was 750 years ago. About 70 years ago, there was a very important rabbi in Europe. His name was Rabbi Weissmandel. You may be familiar with his name because his son is one of the main rabbis that in charge of the kashrut of many things, many products that you buy today in the supermarket. You see his son's name on it. But his father had a photographic memory. Photographic memory, it's an incredible thing because a person is able to see what other people cannot see and remember it. I'll give you an example. About 6-7 years ago, I gave a lecture in Queens. I used to give a lecture there every Monday. And I had a guy, Israeli guy, his name was Giora Kuczynski. I'm still looking for him, that's why I said the name. Maybe somebody will watch it on the web and tell me where he is. The reason that I mention him is that I had a long argument with him, like a personal debate in front of a large crowd on a Monday night. And he was a very smart person. He asked a lot of good questions. And we went on and on for hours. And through the conversation, what I what I just realized that I'm speaking to him, but he's writing things in his notebook. And I was very impressed. I say, usually people come, they listen or they record, but I don't really see that many people are really writing the entire lecture. But as I came close to him, I saw that he's drawing all kinds of pictures. He's not even really writing anything. So I got a little bit insulted. So I told him, this is your derech eretz, this is your manners. I'm speaking to you about this philosophical argument and you drawing all these pictures. He said, what's the problem? Didn't I answer you to the point, or I ask you the right questions? I said, no, you're actually doing very well. He said, usually I always do few things at the same time. It's not a problem. Don't get offended. So I was very curious. I said, what do you mean you're doing few things at the same time? A person can only do one thing at a time. He said, no. He said, I'll give you an example. You can give me a number, 30 digits. And I'm going to look at the numbers, and I'm going to tell you the numbers from left to right or from right to left in the right order. Right away, I thought there's a trick here. So I told him, how about if I'm going to write 33 digits, not 30? Thought maybe he has a plan how to divide 30 to numbers. So I say even 100. I just need a little bit longer to look at it. I told the girl, please write down on a note 33 numbers, 0, 7, 9, 1, 4, 5, all kinds of numbers in the right order. He looked at that 15 seconds. He said a minute, but after 15 seconds, he said, here. I took the note. He said, from left to right or from right to left? I say, from the end to the beginning. He told me all the numbers. I was very impressed. Then we continued to argue. It was 4 o'clock in the morning already. 4 o'clock in the morning, he asked me a very difficult question about the kingdom of King David. The Bible, the Tanakh, says something about the chair of King David and his descendants. So I asked the owner of the house, that was before I had the laptop, so we're talking about 7, 8 years ago. So I told them, do you have the entire Tanakh? They said, no, we only have the Torah. We don't have the Tanakh. So I told him, I cannot respond to your question because I don't have the text in front of me. I want to see what you're talking about. So he said, you know what? I actually live 2 blocks away from here and I have it. If you want, we can go to my house. We continue over there. Because the people were getting tired already, morning soon. I said, okay, everybody, the lecture is over. I went to his home. We get to his home. He gets me the Tanakh. I answer him all these questions. 5 o'clock in the morning, we're done. Then I gave him a book. It's called Mesilot El HaEmunah. It's a very interesting book. Covers a lot of this material. I told him, I want you to read the book, and if you have questions, write it down, and then call me and we'll continue from there. So I say, okay, write down my number. He said, tell me the number. I say to myself, this guy is making fun at me. He doesn't even write the number. I'm giving him just a free book right now. He doesn't even write the number. So I told him, no, write it down. Come on, be serious. He's saying, I never wrote one telephone number in my entire life. But I can tell you all the telephone numbers that I heard since I'm a kid until now, all of them by heart. I started to get nervous. I told him the number. He said, no problem. I left. 10 days later, I came to Main Street, to Queens. I saw his roommate in a bakery over there. There's the same bakery, until today it's there, near Colby there. I see his roommate, Oren, how are you? What's with Giora? I haven't heard from him anything. He said, I don't know, but he's in the house. We can come visit him. I said, sure, I'm coming. As I showed up, he was on his way out, going to mail his mail. Just when he saw me, he said, wow, not you again. I said, did you read the book? He said, no, I didn't have time. But I can tell you the numbers. This is 10 days later. Now for 10 days, everywhere I go, I show people the number and I tell them the story because I was very excited. I pull up the note. I say, tell me the numbers. Say, from right to left or from left to right? I say, reverse. He told me all the numbers 10 days later. As we continue, I saw that this guy is really something unbelievable. He has photographic memory. Then he told me something interesting. He told me I used to have a much greater memory. But because of smoking drugs, my brain is not functioning anymore. Yeah, that's his words. Anyway, I made a deal with him. We shook hands that he's going to show up to the seminar. He didn't want to pay, of course, because he's doing me a favor, but I wanted to bring him because I knew he's going to be the star of the seminar. And I said, don't worry about the money, just show up. We gave him the information, and the day of the seminar, I called to make sure he's coming. I called a few hours before, but that morning he went to Florida, and I never saw him ever again. That's it. So that's the story with him. There's people that have photographic memory, which means they look at the page, they see things in the text that normal people cannot see. Not only they see, they memorize things that average person cannot see. One of them was Rav Weissmandel. Like I said, about 70 years ago, he said there are codes in the Torah, and he showed us the first code without computer about Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon. I'm going to show you that slide soon. But since Rav Weissmandel wrote about information about the Rambam inside the Torah, later one rabbi came to Dr. Doron Witztum from the Hebrew University, a non-religious atheist, and a communist, Professor Ilya Reeves, mathematician, one of the top 5 in the world, also from the Hebrew University, also an atheist, communist. And he asked them, of course for money, please develop a computer program, software, that will be able to find entries that we're going to put into the computer in equal mathematical skip, minimal. Again, equal, minimal, mathematical skips. And which means if we enter a name into the computer search the entire Torah, like I say, in less than a second. And if this name appear in equal skip between one letter to the other in the text, that means somebody was hiding it purposely inside the text. It cannot be coincidence. The more equal codes, equal skips we're going to find in one page about the same subject, we will understand, obviously, that it's intentionally was planted inside the text of that book. They worked on that software for a few years. Once it was ready, it's needless to say what happened later on. A year later, you couldn't recognize those two scientists. They already had long beards, and they were very, very religious. They both of them rabbis today. And they still come to universities here in New York to speak, especially Professor Reeves. I had the honor about 13 years ago to meet him in Columbia University in Manhattan there, get him some kosher food, because he couldn't find kosher food over there. He was a guest speaker in the university. There's a whole movie about him. He shows how, I told him, why don't you publish a book before somebody else will do it and get all the credit for it. Nobody knew about it in the world 14, 15 years ago. And I say you can make millions of dollars from a book like this, because this is perhaps the greatest discovery in history, what we are going to talk about. And he said, I wish someone will publish a book. We don't care about the money or the publicity. We only care that people all over the world will come to the right conclusion that the Torah is the word of the Creator of the world. If that's what's going to happen, for me it's worth it. 2 years later, there is a newspaper reporter, Michael Droznin, a Jew, non-religious, that published a book, Codes in the Torah, and sold tens of millions of copies and made a lot of money. And it's interesting because in his book he writes that he came to Yitzhak Rabin, the Prime Minister of Israel, a week before he got killed, and he made an appointment, and he told him that according to the codes in the Torah he's going to be assassinated by someone, and Rabin did not take him serious. If he would listen to him, he would be able to prevent his death. Of course, we know life and death is in the hand of God, but that's the story he writes in the book. That story was confirmed by the assistant of Rabin at that time. His name was Itan Aber. He is a member in the Knesset. I think today he's still in politics. He confirmed that this newspaper reporter came and wanted to meet Rabin and tell him that he has to be careful because according to the Torah, his end is coming. Let's start. Before I start to show the slide, I want everybody to understand something very interesting about Judaism, about the Torah in general. We know the word pardes in Hebrew means an orchard where you grow oranges. But really, it's abbreviation of 4 different words. Pei is pshat, resh is remez, daled is drash, and samech is sod. The shin moves here. You see, this shin was supposed to be here. I don't know who moved it here, but let's assume it's here. Pshat, remez, drash, and sod. What is those 4 words? Pshat, it's the simple way of understanding the Torah. Abraham met Sarah. No more chairs? What happened? Here, you can sit in the front, no? Yeah. That's okay. There's some, in the end over there, some more available seats. Okay. So, this is the simple way to understand the text. Abraham met Sarah. One day they had a kid. What was his name? All this information, it's simple understanding of the Torah. Then we have the remez. Remez means inside the actual story, there are clues. God is hinting to us all kinds of things, but not in such a clear way. We have to work a little bit harder to find the hints and the messages that are inside the Torah. Then we have the drash. Drash comes from the word the drasha, midrash, which means secrets. What secrets? I'll give you an example. I'll give one example, you understand what I'm talking about. When we read in the text of the Torah, we have a dialogue between Avraham Avinu and Hashem. Comes God to Avraham and wants to test him before he nominates him to the person who is going to spread the belief in one God, the monotheism in the entire world. Avraham had to sweat and to try very hard to be deserved to receive the truth from the creator of the world. He didn't just pick him up one day from the street and say, you're going to be my representative. He tested him 10 times. One of the major tests was that one day he came and told him, you have to go slaughter your only son, after he already promised him that this son will continue his way. And he told Abraham to teach the Goyim not to kill their children in front of the statues like they used to do. So everything God told him in the past, he came now and told him the opposite. And Abraham did not ask one question. Whatever God told him, he said, no problem, and he did it right away, with happiness. That's why it's such a great person, Avraham Avinu. But what's the story? This is the way the Torah describes it. ויהי אחר הדברים האלה, והאלוקים ניסה את אברהם. And after those words, after those things, God came to test Abraham. And he's telling him, please take your son. How is the text? Pay attention. He tells him, קח נא את בנך, את יחידך, אשר אהבת, את יצחק. Please take your son, your only son, the one you love, Yitzchak. 4 different sentences. First, take your son, your only son, the one you love, Yitzchak. 4 different categories. It's interesting. We have a rule in Judaism, we do not have one extra letter in the Torah. Every word in the Torah has a very deep and important meaning. Just when it looks that there's an extra word or an extra letter in the Torah that you can manage without it, you'll be surprised if you're going to check in the oral Torah, which among it is the drash, the midrashim, you're going to see that this letter or this word has a wonderful meaning and you cannot manage without it. Sometimes from an extra word or an extra letter, we learn many, many laws that we are binded to these laws until this moment. I'll give an example. The Torah says, "Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha leman ya'arichun yamecha." Respect your father and your mother, that you should have long life. The Torah says, "Kabed et avicha," respect your father, ve'et imecha. It's an extra word here. He could have just said, respect your parents. Why did it say, "Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha"? To tell you who comes first. Who's the last word in a family? It's the father. Fine, we got that part. Why did we need ve'et imecha? He could have said, "Kabed et avicha ve'imecha." Every letter that looks like an extra letter comes to teach something. Comes the oral Torah and tell us to include your oldest brother. So if you have few brothers and sisters, the oldest one in a family deserves special respect more than other brothers and sisters. So we learn one new law just from an extra letter in a Torah. Without that, we would not know it. That's why we have to go to the oral Torah, and that's the way the Torah, it's brilliant, it's very sophisticated, there's hundreds of years to learn and you still don't know 1% of it, but that's okay. This is just an example. I'll give one more example. The Torah said, you should not cook gdi bechalev imo. Gdi bechalev imo, you cannot slaughter and cook together the sheep with, how do you say gdi, the young one that just born? Goat?
Calf. Baby goat.
Calf. A calf? A calf. A calf, it's egel. Okay, all right, I'll take this word. You cannot do it. But why does it repeat 3 times in the Torah? It was enough once. Comes the oral Torah and say, 1, that you should not eat it together. 2nd, that you should not cook it together even for a non-Jew. And 3rd, that if you did it by mistake, you made cheeseburger, you already made it by mistake, you didn't know, someone just came and told you, oh, you don't know you're not allowed? Okay, now I did already. It's worth $5, $10. What should I do? Throw it to the garbage? So I'm going to knock on the neighbor's door and tell him, listen, I made a mistake. I'm a Jew. I cannot eat this. Here, have it. You're not allowed. So 3 things we are learning from extra sentence in the Torah. 1, you should not eat it if somebody made it for you. 2nd, we should not even cook it for anybody else, not even for a dog. And 3rd, if we mistakenly did it, we have to destroy it. What about the money? If it would not say in the Torah, we would not allow to destroy it, because God has mercy on our money. And He told us we have to be careful not to burn it for no reason. So now we have 3 things that repeats in the Torah. Each time has a different meaning, even though it's the same text. How would we know it? Only with the oral law. There's no other way to know it. This is just 2 examples how there are hints and hidden information inside the Torah that we would find the answer in the Drash. Now, 1 second, before you're starting to attack me with the questions and we miss the entire lecture, you have a little patience, maybe some of these questions will disappear. So now, God came to Abraham and said, please take your son. Abraham told him, which son? I have 2. You don't see it in the text. The Torah, it's very short. Where would you find the rest of the information? In the Midrash. Midrash was given to Moshe Rabbeinu in Mount Sinai with the entire Torah together. That's like secret from beyond the scene. Not everything you see on a stage when you go to a show. There are many things happening beyond that really are not so relevant right now to the show. But if you need to know, you go and you check over there and you know some hidden information, inside information over there. He told him which son? He told him the one you love. He answered, I love both of them. He said, Yitzchak. So he said, take your son. He said, which one? He said, your only one. He said, I have 2. He said, the one you love. I said, I love both of them. Then God was disappointed and He said, Yitzchak, you should have known it yourself. You should not expect me to tell you who. I thought you should know of your own which son is more than the other. But that's a dialogue. Where would you find this entire dialogue? In the Drash. And then we have the Sod. What's the Sod? What we call today Kabbalah. The secrets of Judaism. There's hundreds of books full of unbelievable information. Sometimes when you read it, it looks like Chinese. It looks like Japanese. Even very intelligent Israelis that have all the college degrees in the world don't understand even 1% of what they read over there. It's very complicated. It's an entire Torah. Just the Kabbalah, it's like an entire extra Torah. Full of secrets, names of angels, upper worlds, spiritual worlds, very complicated things. Not everyone is capable of learning it. Very few people in the world are in it in the right way. Many people are claiming that they learn Kabbalah, but they're not really capable of learning it. So this is Pardes. Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. One of the secrets inside the Torah is what we're going to talk about. That's codes in the Torah. I would like to give you the first code that were found in history before computers were made. This was, like I told you, Rav Weiss Mandel found it approximately 70 years ago. 2,400 years approximately after the Torah was given to the Jews, there was a person named Rambam, Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon. 850 years ago he was born. Then he went from Spain to Egypt. The day that he arrived to Egypt, he became a very famous person. Shortly after, he became the right-hand man of the king of Egypt, his doctor. He was taking care of his heart conditions. He was a philosopher, a mathematician, a big rabbi. He had many, many different skills. When we read the text, we're finding hints that hinting to Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon. For instance, his name was Moshe. So we see information here. This is God is sending Moshe to Pharaoh. That's a regular text. So his name is Moshe. The name Moshe is mentioned in this page. It's in Parashat Bo, in Sefer Shmot. Then he lived in Mitzrayim, so we have the word Mitzrayim. He had a nickname. What was his nickname? Rambam. Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon gives us Rambam. Resh Mem Bet Mem. The only time in the entire Torah that you have 4 words that give us the right order, Resh Mem Bet Mem, it's in this page. There's no other place in the Torah that we have 4 words together that gives us this abbreviation Rambam. Nowhere else, only here. Resh Mem Bet Mem. What's the meaning of this sentence? He's going to become very famous in the land of Egypt, and that's really what happened in his life. He was the most famous philosopher in the world in his generation. Even today they have a statue of the Rambam in Washington among 17 other statues as one of the smartest people ever lived. I always like to laugh and say that if they only knew all the rabbis that we had prior to him, they had to fill up Washington with all full of statues. They only heard about Rambam, but we had thousands like him, or even greater, but that's okay. We'll move on. He was the doctor of the heart of the king of Egypt. So we have Lev Paro, the heart of the king, right? But what made Rambam very, very famous? Even though most of his books he wrote in Arabic, one book he wrote in Hebrew, what we call the Holy Language, the ancient Hebrew. It's called Mishneh Torah. It took him 30 years to complete it, 30 years. He was a very busy man. He was taking care of patients in the palace of the king from morning to night. And through that entire life of him over there, he wrote the book that's called Mishneh Torah. What's the subject of the book? It's talking about 613 mitzvot that the Jew has to keep. I told you in the past, the body is a combination of 248 organs, 365 ligaments. And that's exactly how the Torah was written. 248 positive mitzvot, 365 restriction. For every organ, you have a mitzvah to do. For every ligament, you have a restriction that you should not allow to do, and it's all connected together. That's the secret between the creation of the world to the creation of us, of people. So now, Just when we begin to read the book of the Rambam, we see that he begins to list 613 mitzvot and explain one by one. The name of the book called Mishneh Torah. Remember, Mishneh Torah. Here comes the codes. When Rav Weiss Mandel saw that there are hints, clues about Rambam here, he took this mem and started to search in the page for hidden codes. And this is what he found. Mem, you count 50 letters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 50 letters, you get to the letter Shin. You count 50 letters, you get to the letter Nun. You count 50 letters in the right order, you get to the letter Hey. We just received the word Mishneh. If you search from this stuff and you count 50 letters, you're going to get the letter Vav. If you count 50 letters, you're going to get the letter Resh. If you count 50 letters, you're getting Hey. So we found the word Mishneh in equal skip of 49 letters, which is 7 times 7. It's interesting. Mem, Shin, Nun, Hey, in equal mathematical minimal skip. When I say minimal, I would like to explain what does it mean minimal. When we have a computer software, the computer say enter entry, and you want to find the name of a person. So let's say you want to put George Bush. He's in a Torah in equal skip. Don't laugh. So you put George Bush. So the computer will find George Bush sometimes, few times in a Torah in equal skip. Once it's going to find George, so it's in Hebrew it's 4 letters, Gimel, Vav, Resh, Gimel, 4 letters. So, and Bush it's 3 letters, so altogether it's 7 letters, George Bush. So if it's going to start from the first Gimel to the Vav, it will find it in equal skip of 50, let's say, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. You can find it again, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500. Sometimes you will find it 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000. We don't care about all the codes. We told the computer, just give me the smallest skip. From all the skips, the codes that you found, just give me the minimal one. Why? Because we are interested to show all the names in one page in the Torah. If we have an equal skip of 50,000 letters between one letter to the other, that means that the first letter will be in Bereshit, the second letter will be in Shmot, the second letter will be in Vayikra. You're going to need to put on the wall the entire Torah to show you a one word. We are not interested in that. Plus, the bigger the skip is, there is a higher chance that it's coincidence. Because when you play with so many millions of or thousands of letters, it's a higher chance that things like this coincidentally will happen by itself. But when they are minimal and they're one next to the other, it leaves no doubt, soon you will see what I mean, that somebody planted it that way. It's not coincidence. And if somebody planted, that means that somebody knew the entire future. And he controlled the entire future. Otherwise, how did he know to hide such names in equal mathematical skip? We're going to get to it soon, but let's repeat. So we have Mishneh, we have Torah in equal skip, but we have one problem. If we would enter the computer the word Mishneh Torah, the computer wouldn't find it. This code could be found only by a person, not by a computer. Why? Because the computer doesn't recognize name or last name, first name. He recognizes an entry, that's all. It could be one name, it could be 5 names. The computer goes from the first letter of the entry to the last one, it has to be equal skip throughout the entire way. Not only part of it. In that case, how do we explain that from the word Mishneh to the word Torah, we have such a large skip? It should have been Mem, 49 letters Shin, 49 letters Nun, 49 letter Hey. This stuff should have been here. 49 letters, stuff, and the rest, it will be all 49. But the reason that it's not like this is because the book is speaking about 613 mitzvot. If you count how many letters we have between the word Mishneh to the word Torah, the answer is 613 letters. So now, let's conclude the first slide. 2,400 years before Rambam was born. There was no Rambam in the world. Nobody knows today what's going to happen, who's going to be born in a year from now. Nobody knows. Can be the smartest person on earth. You still don't know who's gonna visit us in a year from now. But the Torah, 2,400 years before Rambam was born, told us there will be a person named Moshe that will live in Egypt, that his name will be Rambam. He will be very famous in the land of Egypt. He will take care of the heart of the king. He will write a book called Mishneh Torah that will speak about 613 mitzvot. And something like this happened by itself in a book, or that's a clear indication that it's a divine book? What do you think? Anybody here, after the first proof, I have many, but after the first slide, anybody here, in case you had a doubt before, that the Torah maybe was not given by God, or the rabbis wrote it, or it's a history book, or a teacher wrote it, or I don't know, a dentist wrote it, whatever you want, a baseball player wrote it, it doesn't really matter. In case you had a doubt, do you still have a doubt? Please raise your hand. Okay, where is Dr. Danny? We finished. We're done, that's it, we're done. What are we going to do now? Huh? We're done, everyone is convinced. Oh, somebody saved the lecture over there. Go ahead.
Well, I don't have a doubt that the Torah is divine.
Yeah.
I don't know that this is a proof of it.
Why not?
Why is it proven?
Is it possible that it will be coincidentally hidden in an equal mathematical skip by itself?
But where did you come with that rule? Why does it have to be an equal mathematical skip? Why can't it skip, let's say, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32?
Well, because if you're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 8, then you can find whatever you want as much as you want.
Right, so
You're going to play with the letters. It has to be equal. That shows that someone planted it. I'll give you a story and you understand what I mean.
I'm sorry, if the rule was 1, 2, 4, 16, 18, that would equally be spectacular.
Oh, you mean 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Oh, I got you. That would be also a very interesting plan. Remember, everything that show a plan is acceptable. In this particular way, God chose to do it in equal mathematical skip. You're right. He could have chose your method. He could have done it 2, 4, and maybe he did. I don't know. I don't know if he was checked. But that's not the point right now.
Would the square root be okay for example?
Everything that shows a plan,
So anything...
everything that shows a plan, somebody planted in an equal way, and is persistent, it's working through the entire Torah, will be a proof that somebody that knew all the future was able to write his name and planted it in a special way. Okay, let's move on. Shh. Here, that's to give you a little bit. Okay, now, we all say Kiddush, I hope. We all say Kiddush, or we heard Kiddush at least once in our life, but we not always knew the secret that we have inside the text of the Kiddush. The Kiddush, we read a part from the Torah that's speaking about Shabbat, the 7th day. And this is what we say. You hold the cup in the right hand and you say, Yom HaShishi, the 6th day, Vaychulu HaShamayim, the 6th day was over, because this is the continuation, this is the end of the previous sentence. Right here there's a dot, and this is a new sentence. Vaychulu HaShamayim ve'aretz v'chol tzva'am, Vayichal Elokim b'yom hashvi'i melachto asher asa. And heaven and earth stopped, and the army of heaven and God stopped everything He created on the 7th day, completed His work. So now, if we look from this Yud, Yom HaShishi, we count 7 letters, we're going to get the letter Shin. We count 7 letters, we get the letter Resh. We count 7, we're going to get Aleph. We count 7, we're going to get Lamed. Israel, the nation of Israel, Yud, Shin, Resh, Aleph, Lamed, in equal mathematical skip. Of course, it's planned, it's not coincidence. 7, 7, 7, 7. Why 7? because accidentally or not, that's the subject. It's talking about the 7th day, the covenant, the Shabbat, nation of Israel observing Shabbat. Why the name of Israel is Israel? Because it's Yashar El. You are straight, you are honest with your God. This is the purpose of a Jew, to be honest and decent with his Creator. Not only that, to indicate that the Jews start in this world very small. We are the nation that everybody wanted always to destroy. They ran after us. They never gave us freedom. We were always depressed and attacked by so many different cultures. So in this world, we are suffering more than the others, but we start small and we finish big. We start with the smallest ladder, we went to the biggest ladder. Not only that, if you take the 3 fathers and the 4 mothers of the Jewish nation, it's Yud stands for Yitzchak and Yaakov, Shin for Sarah, Resh for Rachel and Rivka, Aleph for Avraham, Lamed for Leah. So the 3 fathers and the 4 mothers giving us together the name Israel. That's just by the way. Let's continue to show some proofs. I know that tomorrow when you speak to your friends, you're going to tell them that you've been last night in a lecture showing there are codes in the Torah, and your friend's going to tell you, can you show me? Show me, here is the Torah. Show me where you have codes. And you're not going to have this computer PowerPoint presentation. And it's going to take at least 2 weeks until this lecture will be on the website, so you're going to be stuck. Not really. Because remember, from the first word of the Torah, Bereshit, you're going to circle the first half. Remember, you can use it as a proof to all your friends. For this, you don't need computer. You don't need computer. Bereshit, you circle the Taf, you count 50 letters, you get Vav. You count 50 letters, you get Resh. The 50th letter will be Resh. 50 letters, you get Hey. Torah. Just from the beginning of the Torah, the creator, the writer of the book, planted inside the text the word Torah in equal mathematical minimal skip. If you think it's coincidence, let's move on to the next book, Sefer Shmot, Exodus. Right there, Ve'ele Shmot. Remember, it starts with a Taf. Ve'ele Shmot, those are the name of Israel that came to Egypt. From this Taf, 50 letters, you get Vav. 50 letters, you get Resh. 50 letters, you get Hey. Torah, again, in equal skip of 50 letters altogether. Is it coincidence? Of course not. Now, if you search in the entire 5 books of the Torah, Bereshit, Shmot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Dvarim, I hope it's interesting. No, you know, when people talk, I get very curious what they say. What am I missing?
They keep asking me questions about what you're saying.
Really? Yeah. Oh, you became my assistant? Not officially. All right. Why don't they ask me? I'm just curious. They don't speak English. All right, I allow you to talk. No problem. Just don't do it too loud. Okay, now. So you have Bereshit. I just show you. Taf, Vav, Resh, Hey. Taf, Vav, Resh, Hey. When you go to Vayikra, there's no Torah in it. What do we have? Yud, Ke, Vav, Ke. The name of God. Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. And then we go to Bamidbar. We have Torah, but this time in reverse, from left to right. Also in equal skip of 49s and the 50th letter. So, Taf, Vav, Resh, Hey, but in reverse. When we go to Dvarim, also Taf, Vav, Resh, Hey, in reverse. So now we have a very interesting menorah here. The center of the menorah, it's the name of God. By the way, for those who did not know why the names of God is Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, because it gives us the 3 times. Haya, it's the past. Hove, it's the present. Yihye, it's the future. It's all in those 4 letters. Here, Aya, it's Hey, Yud, and Hey. Ove, it's Hey, Vav, and Hey. Yihye, Yud, Hey, Yud, and Hey. So it gives us the 3 times to show us that God is not material, and only something that is materialistic, something that is made from material, depends on time and connects to time. Something that is spiritual has no time limitation. Now, so remember, we have Torah and Torah from right to left, and Torah from left to right. And the center of the world is the Creator Himself. It's all in equal skip of 50. I don't know if you heard about holiday of the trees, what we call Tu B'Shvat, the 15th day of Shvat. It's the Rosh Hashanah, the new year of the trees and the vegetables and the fruits. And here is a page inside Sefer Bereshit, right in the beginning, the first chapter in the Torah, that describes us the creation of Adam. And this is what the Torah says in the text. Pay attention carefully. And God created Adam sand from the ground, and He blew into his nostrils a living soul, and then the person became alive. And God planted a tree from the east, and He put the man that He created there. And God had trees, beautiful trees coming from the ground, and great for eating. And then the secret, which is the tree of life. And this, I'm sure you heard about this story more than once in your life. But since this page is speaking a lot about trees, about a garden, things that connects to trees and the ground and a garden, how many words that connects to fruit and vegetables appear in this page? You'll be amazed. All of them in equal skip. For instance, you see, whatever it's in circle, that's chita, wheat. Chet, you see, tet and hey. Chet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's chita. Then the squares, it's geffen, the grapes. And anav, a grape. You understand? So this is tamar, dates. Erez, it's the name of a tree. Te'ena, a fig. Pomegranate. A lot of them you may not know what they are, but that's okay, because it's all in Hebrew. There's wheat, barley, and olive. So all these words that are names of fruit and names of trees, look how many, I think there's more than 20 right there, appears in one page in the Torah, all of them in equal, minimal, mathematical skip. What's the chances it's going to be more than 20 words in one small page like this, all of them in equal skip? You figure it out yourself if it's possible, yeah.
That's not on any other page in the Torah?
Remember, the way we work with this is like this. We are not going to a specific page and looking over there. The computer, every time you put a name, the computer searches that name in the entire Torah, and then it shows you where the minimal skip are located. And here, it's very interesting. For instance, when the person who found all these names, he put wheat, chita, the computer searched in the entire Torah, and he found it in this page. Then you put olive, same page. Barley, same page. Fig, same page. Dates, same page.
Not any other page.
Again, that could be that it appears in other pages in larger skip. It could be. But the minimal skip, that's why we tell the computer, they all happen to be in the same page that relates in the same content. It's the same subject. Speaking about a garden, speaking about trees. This is how it works. In order for us to find things, we don't have spaces between the words. You see, here you see the Torah, the way it's been written. Bereshit is one word. Bara, it's a second word. Elohim, it's a third word. But when they enter it to the computer, they did not make any spaces. It's all one large word. How many letters we have in the Torah? Who knows?
600,000.
How many? 304,805 letters. 304,000. What did he say?
That was my next guess.
Okay. 304,805 letters. So it's almost 305,000 letters. Now, if you have almost 305,000 letters and it's all became one word, so now the computer, this is how it works. You enter a name into the computer, if this word, for instance, start with the letter Yud, right? Let's say you put the name Yitzhak Rabin, the Prime Minister of Israel. So how the computer is going to find Yitzhak Rabin? Here I'm explaining how it works for those who still do not understand how it works. The computer comes to the first Yud in the Torah. Bereshit is the first word, he found Yud. Yitzhak Rabin starts with Yud. So he's taking this Yud. To become a skip, it has to be minimum 2 letters in between, right? If there's no at least 2 letters in between, it's not a skip. It has to be at least 2 letters. So the computer takes this Yud, count 2 letters. The second letter should be Tzadik, Yitzhak, Tzadik. If after 2 letters he found Tzadik, he continues to count 2 letters to find the Chet. If there is no Chet, he goes back to the Yud and start 3. 1, 2, 3. If the third letter is not Tzadik, he goes back to Yud, he counts 4. If it's not Tzadik, he comes back to the Yud, now he goes to 5. If it's found 5, let's say Yud, and the 5th letter was Tzadik, he continue with 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could find, let's say, Chet. Oh, so now we have 3 letters. Yud, Tzadik, and Chet. He counts 5 letters, it's not Kuf. Too bad. Has to restart all over again. Now you understand why I say it's going to take us 1,000 years? You understand or no? How are we going to do it? You know how many Yuds you have in the Torah? Every Yud you have to start. 1, 2, 1, 2, oh, go back. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, oh, go back. 1, 4, forever. After 5 minutes, you jump from the terrace. Yeah.
What would be, on like a broader scope, what would be Hashem's reasoning for doing this?
Oh.
How would it interfere with free will?
Oh, very good. Good. The second question is better than the first, but I still have to answer the first one. So, maybe let them drink something like this, they talk less. What's the way to make them not talk? Huh? No, you have a tape? You know those thick tapes? You know what? Speaking about the creation of Adam, do you know why Hashem didn't make Adam and Eve Chinese? He was afraid they'll eat the snake and ruin the entire story. All right. So now, here is another example. Soon we're going to the good stuff, the twins, Bin Laden, all these interesting things that you want to hear about. And the beginning of Sefer Vayikra. Vayikra el Moshe, Vayidaber Hashem elav me'oel moed lemor. If we take this Yud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 8th letter is the Hey of Hashem. 7 in between, Vav. 7 in between, A. The name of Hashem right in the beginning with equal skip of 7. We go to Sefer Bamidbar. We're going to find also something very interesting, again in reverse, Torah 49, in reverse. Torah, Taf, Vav, Resh, Hey, this is what I told you before, but this time in reverse. Also, when we go to Dvarim, we have the Torah that I showed you before, in reverse. As you can see, with 50 letters, Taf, and this is, you see the text. This is Sefer Dvarim, chapter 1. Okay, let's move on. The Holocaust. Where is Yaakov? Is he here? He's outside. If somebody can call him. Ask him for the passport of the Nazi person. Okay. Shh. When we read in the Torah, shh. When we read inside the Torah, this is what the parasha is speaking about. It's telling the Jews. I have an entire lecture about the Holocaust. I try never to go into it. You have the passport with the Nazi?
Yeah, it's in my car.
Bring it, please. So I always try not to get into it because there's a lot of emotion involved in it. After the last experience I had, I spoke in Israel, in north of Tel Aviv over there. There's a neighborhood called Tel Baruch over there. So we spoke about this subject. There's a woman that her father and mother and I guess some other relatives passed away, so she started to scream. I say to myself, I'm going to do my best never to go into this subject. It's not the subject today, but this is what the Torah is telling the Jews. If you're not going to behave in a right way, God forbid, one day, what's going to happen? You're going to have an Holocaust. Where does it say it in the text? Let me first translate the text. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. Hashem told Moshe, Incha shochev im avotecha, you're going to your wall to camp with your fathers. Vekam ha'am hazeh vezanach re Elokei nechar. And this nation will rebel against me and go after different gods. Asher hu ba shama bekirbo. That he's going to live in that place. Vazavani is going to leave me. It was close to 80%. Intermarriage and leaving the Shabbat, leaving the Torah, leaving the mitzvot, and many other things that happen in Europe just before the Holocaust started. So the Torah says they're going to leave me, they're going to ignore my covenants that I made with them. Thank you. That I made with them, and I'm going to be very angry in that time at the Jews, at them. I'm going to leave them. I'm gonna close my face, my eyes, and they're going to have a lot of tragedies and problems. What does it mean? I'm going to close my eyes. It's like, God forbid, I'm not gonna be there to watch over them. And Va'omar bayom ha'u alo al ki en Elokai bekirbui, and the Jews will say, there is no God. That's why we have all these problems. And that's how they speak until this moment. A lot of the survivors and some others. Bekirbi, it's with numeric value Germany, but that's besides the point. Va'anochi, and that's the main thing right here. Va'anochi, and I, astir panai bayom ha'u. I'm going to hide completely from them. It's like, God forbid, I will dismiss myself completely. Al kol hara'a asher asa, for all the bad that they did, because they left me and they turned into other gods. Other gods, not necessarily that it really means other gods, because there's really no other gods. It could be statue, it can be a cross, it could be a stone, it could be different beliefs, it can be all kinds of things. But inside the text, speaking about a Holocaust that is one day is going to happen, the word Holocaust is hidden in equal skip of 50. Hey, Shin, Vav, Aleph, Hey, HaShoah. The Holocaust. Right inside the text, that accidentally or not, describing it in details. I want to tell you a story that I just heard from Yaakov yesterday. Here is the original passport of a Nazi soldier. Can put it in front of the camera that you can see an original copy with colors of an authentic passport from Germany. I'm trying to locate the date here. I think yesterday I saw that it's 1940 something, but What is this pastor has to do with our lecture tonight? It's very simple. The Nazis used to burn the synagogues and burn the Torah. Some of them they just stole and they put in museums later on. Some of them they just destroyed on the floor. And one Nazi took the Torah and cut a piece from the Torah. This is the piece he cut. He cut a piece from the Torah and he made it a cover to his passport with this, because the Torah it's leather. So he took it and he made a cover for his passport like this. This is an original copy of what he did, like this. Later, when he died, before he died, he gave it to his son and he told him, if you know any Jew, find a Jew and give it to him. And he went and gave it to one of the ambassadors in Germany, and either Israeli or Jew, I don't know exactly who he was. And he gave it to Rav Grossman. Rav Grossman is a big Rav in Israel from Migdal HaEmek, near Afula in the north. When he was in Germany on a visit, he told him that went few hands, this is from a German that passed it to his son, and he got to another Jew, and we're giving it to you. Well, we don't have what to do with that. Rav Grossman received it, the original. He has the original in his hand, and he came with the original one here to Long Island. Yaakov, no, he can tell you if you want. If he can give you the details. And they made over there copies of this. And when we look at the parts that the Nazi cut from the Torah, accidentally or not, I'm going to translate to you. If you're going to be in the exile, your enemies will be after you, because you did not keep the words of this Torah that written in this book. You did not fear your God, your respectable God, the great God, and God punished you and your children very strong punishments. And all the bad ran after you, because you did not keep the words of this Torah. And God sent the nation after you to destroy you. And only very few of you survived. One page, the entire Holocaust. From the entire 304,000 letters, he count 100 letters. The only 100 letters that describe what happened to the Jews in Germany, he cut. And he doesn't know Hebrew, you know. Who made him cut? If he decided to cut, his Caesar went to the place that described the Holocaust and he cut it out. And 60 years later, it got to the hand of one of the important rabbis in Israel. Unbelievable. But that's just by the way. Of course, has nothing to do with codes, but let's continue. You know, a few years ago, the Israel, yeah.
I didn't interrupt or anything. How do you know that the text in the Torah tells us about the Holocaust? How do you know that he's not closing his eyes right now? And how do you know that if he is closing his eyes, that he's ever going to redeem us? Even if we try to redeem as much as possible and he's closing his eyes, how do you know that he's going to want to open back his eyes and want to take us back? How do you know that's ever going to happen?
Okay, the term closing his eyes is when the Jews don't listen to him. When the Jews listen to him, he opened his eyes wide open. And he watch everything and helps and do everything. When the Jews are not listening, they don't keep their part in the covenant, then obviously there's something that called Ester Panim. Today we are always in a situation of Ester Panim. Ester Panim means that God is hiding himself in a creation very well. And it's very difficult to find him. In the old generation, as you can see in the time of the Exodus of Egypt, there were clear miracles in front of millions of people. Where else do you find that people heard the voice of God? Where else did you see that people saw the ocean split, they go through and the Goyim, the Egyptians come and they drown? Where else do you see blood all over Egypt and all this, or bread falling from heaven? We don't have miracles in that level today, even though you'd be surprised. We still have very, very big miracles today. But we sometimes are blinded by the nonsense that we have in our head not to recognize the miracles that God does to us. I'll give you two examples. One example is when Saddam Hussein was shooting the Scud missiles in the first Gulf War. Each Scud missile It's the size of this entire big room. See how big is this room, how long it is? It's from here all the way to the wall over there. And it's wide just as much as this room. That's the size of one scud. If you put a scud on a long track, it's longer than the entire track. That's why they have to put it standing, because it's too long. It's gonna make the track comes up in the air. That's how big it is. Now, in the war between Iran and Iraq, every missile Saddam shot at Iran killed minimum, the smallest damage, 800 dead. 800 minimum. There were sometimes thousands. Minimum 800 people died every missile he shot at Iran. Iran is not such a crowded place like Israel. The missiles that fell in Israel, in Tel Aviv, in Ramat Gan, in all these places, it's very, very crowded population over there. One missile hit Ramat Gan, 50,000 apartments reported the damage, not one person died. An entire building collapsed. All the people are living in the floors. The entire building collapsed, not person died. Not one person died. 39 Scud missiles like this fell in Israel. Many others fell into the ocean. But 39 fell in the ground. Not one person died from it. One person died from a heart attack in the entire war. And you know who was this person? I have a book that says his name and what he used to do. He used to come with a Vespa, it's a little scooter, to Bnei Brak on Shabbat with a radio and make full volume music and goes to the neighborhoods of the very ultra-Orthodox Jews and get on their nerve on purpose. Comes with his scooter. That's the person that got a heart attack and died from one of these Scud missiles. But the biggest miracle with the Scuds is that for years they were arguing in the government because they want to move the main power station, the main gas station of the entire country or the area of Tel Aviv. They created a new facility and they don't want to move to the new facility for whatever reason. Maybe it was too expensive to make the move. They've been arguing about it. They want to stay. Some wants to stay in the old place. Some wants to move to the new place. After years of argument, 1 week before Saddam started to shoot his missiles, they decided finally to move. Just when they completed their move, a missile fell right in the center of the old facility. It's all gas pipes. If they would not move, you would have hundreds of thousands of Jews will die from the gas. It will explode all the pipes, all the gas all over the area of Tel Aviv. You know, I don't have to tell you the damage. So, is it coincidence that they move? A week before, I give you another example. Just before the Twin Towers collapsed, there's an Israeli shipping company. They have huge boats and they freight company. They have hundreds of employees. It's called Tzim, the main freight company of Israel. They moved out of the Twins to New Jersey. If they would not move, you would have hundreds of Jews dying just from this company. There are many miracles, but we sometimes ignore them. I give you one last example. I have hundreds, but I'll give you one more, and I can show it to you in video. When you see it in video, you will never believe such a miracle. 15, maybe 18 years ago, there was the Sukkot holiday in the Western Wall. Each Sukkot, all the Jews of Yerushalayim almost likes to go to the Western Wall to pray the special prayer of Sukkot. And they do Birkat Kohanim. There's about 200 Kohanim. It's very beautiful there, the atmosphere in Yerushalayim, in the 3 festivals, Shlosha Regalim. There were 20,000 Jews, men, women, old people, young people, babies, are very crowded in the Western Wall. There's you cannot put a needle extra. That's how tight it was. The Arabs were preparing rocks like this, tens of thousands of rocks, weeks in advance. Each rock size of a melon, some of them like watermelons, some of them like peaches, but main serious rocks. It's not like little stones, you know. And there were barrels full of stones. on top. You know, the Arabs is right on top by the mosque. Just when the Jews started the prayer, they threw tens of thousands of rocks on the head of all these Jews. Just try to imagine somebody throw a flood of rocks on the head of the people that cannot move. Everybody started to run towards the gates. Just from everyone running, there should have been hundreds of dead people. You know what happened in stadiums when everyone panicking and they all run to the gate? It's all collapsing. But, Baruch Hashem, not one person got hurt. When it's over, the video camera took a whole picture of the entire place. You could not believe such a thing. You couldn't see the floor. It was all rocks. Imagine thousands of melons, watermelons, a pile of rocks. You say to yourself, how can it be? Should have been minimum 500 dead people there, just from the rocks. To get such rocks on the head from such a height thing, not one Jew got hurt. You know what the Arabs didn't plan? They had one mistake in the planning. A minute before, the Kohanim made Birkat Kohanim. Yevarchecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. They didn't take, they forgot about that part. They come maybe 10 minutes earlier, it would work. But that should give you an example. So we have a lot of miracles. But just that we ignore the miracles, that's the difference. All right, let's move back to our subject. You know, the Israelis made a very serious mistake in the negotiation that they did with the Palestinians. It's called, one of the biggest mistakes in the history of Israel was the agreement of Oslo. They made the peace process agreement called Oslo. Who was in charge of that? There's a person in a Knesset. His name is Beilin. Yossi Beilin, that's his name. Shimon Peres was the architect that planned the entire thing. So it's interesting because you can see right here there are Eden equal skips inside the Torah that showing us all these things that happen. For instance, Lishkat Peres, it's the office of Shimon Peres in equal skip, as you can see right here. That's right here. You see, this is, if you can read the text, it's very hard to read the text because it's become all like one word, but it's all equal mathematical skip. Here, Shoresh, the root of Oslo. Oslo, Aleph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. It's Samech, 6. It's Lamed, 6. Okay, so the root of Oslo came from the office of Shimon Peres. You look, a mutual Samech. It's all in equal skip. What's over there? You see over there? It's right here. Sar, the minister, Yud, Beilin, in equal skip. He was, until today, he was protecting this. Even though the Jews are in much, much worse condition than from before that agreement. We gave the Palestinians all kinds of nice gifts, and we got nothing in return. But this is just an example of information of things that happen in our generation in equal mathematical skip. Here, that's a continuation of this. You see, Arafat, Yasser Arafat, so you have Arafat. Then you have HaMechablim, you know, the terrorist. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters. Mem, 6. Chet, 6. Bet, 6. Lamed, 6. Yud, 6. Mem. The terrorist. So you have Arafat, the terrorist. What else do you have? Arafat was the Moshel. You see Mem, Vav, Shin, Lamed. All equal skip. Of, you see, 2,315 letters. 2,315 letters. Each 2,315 letters gave us the Moshel, the one who is in charge. Who is he? Arafat. Now, what? Wait, patience. What? Where did Arafat was sitting? In which city? Here. You see? Ain, Yud, Resh, Gaza. Gaza. How do you say Gaza in Hebrew? Gaza. Where was he sitting? You see? Reverse 2,314.
Can I ask you a question? The skip on the upper right-hand corner, what's the skip on that?
Which one?
The green, that
This?
diagonal, yeah.
This? Retzuat Aza. Gaza Strip. What's the skip?
99, what's the
Skip for Retzuat?
If you have 50, it's one.
I tell you how. If Gaza is 2,314, that's one less. 2,313. You know why it's one less, right? Because if from this A, you don't see the entire page because there's no room here. But if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you go to 1,000, 1,500, and then you get to the new line, and you continue, you get to this Zayin, it's Hey, Zayin, this is in reverse, you know, Gaza. So from this Ayin to this, 2,300 and change. From here, 2,300 and change. So what is it? So here, it's one less. If it would be, this tzaddik will be right here, it will be like here, the same thing, 2,314. But since it's one less, it's 2,313. You got it? Okay, let's continue.
Rabbi, how come there's no skip between Arafat?
Oh, because Arafat, you know what Arafat means in Hebrew? Araf et. It's two words. You know what's Araf? Araf means to chop someone's head off. That's his meaning. So, in the text of the Torah, it says like this. Ki am kshe oref ata. You see? Ki. You see here? Ki. Because am, it's a nation. Kshe oref means stubborn. You are. So that's what God told the Jews. Because you are stubborn people, you go against me, you insist to go against me, I'm going to send you Arafat and the terrorist and the Retzuat Aza that will sit in Gaza, and you see Moshel, Mem, Vav, Shin, Lamed, it's all in equal skip. Also the word Moshel here, it's hidden again inside. But it gets better.
What does Moshel mean again?
Moshel means a governor, the one who's in charge of the area. Mimshal Sharon, this right here in the bottom, you see which words we are seeing here. Mimshal Sharon is the government of Sharon. Which Sharon? Ariel, also hidden in equal skip. He is the prime minister, the Moshel, the controller. Milchama, it's a war. Nishko, it's a neshek. So here, all these words that I just read to you are hidden here in equal skip of shh. For instance, shh. You can see right here. It's hard for me to see. Oh, Sharon. Here, you see Sharon? Shin, Resh, Vav, Nun. Mimshal. You see Mem? Mem, Shin, Lamed. Mimshal, it's government. Sharon, the government of Sharon, this is a continuation of the last slide, made the Oslo agreement, brought Arafat into Gaza Strip, and what did it give us? A war, Milchama. Look, Mem, Lamed, Chet, Mem, Hey, Milchama, a war. Let's continue. Shh. We're getting to Bin Laden soon, and Al-Qaeda. After the Oslo agreement fell, what was the response of the Israeli army? They went into a war that was called Chomat Magen. Remember that? You remember? You heard the news a little bit or no? Who is Israeli here? You know, you confirm that there was Chomat Magen or no? I don't want them to think I'm fooling them. It was there. All right, Baruch Hashem. Oh, Chomat Magen. That's the name of the war. Lochama means a war. It was in the Kasbah of Jenin. So the war, Jenin, Chomat Magen. or war, kasbah, it's all appear in equal skip in one page in the Torah. Do you know the terrorist attack that they had in Sabaro restaurant? You know, in Jerusalem, it was all over the news. So, okay, inside the Torah, it says like this. Abraham's telling the angels, please lean under the tree, and I'm going to bring you bread to eat. And only then you can leave. That's the text. Vayikcha pat lechem v'saadu libchem. So that's talking about the food. Abraham is serving his guest with a meal. Inside the text, what is it? It says like this. Mis'edet Sabaro. Where is that? It's hard for me from my angle to see it. Bemis'edet. You see, Bemis'edet, which in the restaurant called Sabaro. Where is Sabaro? Samech 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5. Sabaro. In a restaurant called Sabaro, what happened? Araguni. They kill us over there. Equal skip inside the text. Shh. Just a few years ago, they killed one of the greatest warriors of this generation. His name was Rechavam Ze'evi. Yeah. He was a minister. He was a right-wing, anti-Palestinian, anti-terrorism. So they murdered him. Where did they murder him? The Palestinians in Hyatt Hotel. He went to Hyatt Hotel. They went into his room and shot him to death. Did Hashem knows about it? Did he write about it in the Torah? Let's see. First of all, his name was Ze'evi. Equal skip of 39. Zayin, Aleph, Bet, Yud. Ze'evi. Again Ze'evi. Look, Ze'evi. Twice in equal skip 39. And where did he die? In Malon, Hyatt. You see? Hyatt, A, Yud, Aleph, Tat. Hyatt Hotel. Okay? Ze'evi. Now, if you had a doubt if he's talking about the right Ze'evi, how many Ze'evi were killed in Hyatt Hotel? Only one. But if you still have a doubt, here these slides will show it a little bit better. What's the name? Hasar Ze'evi. The minister Ze'evi. In equal skip. Hey, Shin, Resh, Zayin, Aleph, Bet. The minister Ze'evi in equal skip of 704 letters. Hasar Ze'evi, 7 letters. From the Hey, from the Hey to the Shin, 704 letters. 704, 704, 704. What's the chance? It's going to be 7 equal skips like this. Wait. Vayevakesh la'amito. They went to kill him. Retzach, murder. Look, Resh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Resh, Tzadik, Chet, Retzach, a murder. Where? Bamalon, in the hotel. Which hotel? I showed you, Hyatt Hotel. Shh. Do you remember one of the worst terrorist attacks in the history of Israel? In Passover night, in Leil HaSeder, they attacked in Park Hotel. Did you hear that? 20-something, 25 people they killed in the middle of the Seder. They went here. Okay. Now, the text is speaking about matzah, maror. The Jews have to eat matzot and maror, right? Speaking about the mitzvah of Leil HaSeder. Where would God hide a terrorist attack that happened in the night of the Seder? In a place that's speaking about the Seder, matzot u'merorim. So we entered to the Torah, and pay attention what we just found. Seder Pesach. You see? Where is it?
On top.
Here, right here. Seder, Samech, what's the skip? Seder, here, Seder, Samech, Dalet, Resh, Pesach. Seder Pesach, איפה? Where was that Seder Pesach? במלון, בית, מם, למד, וו, נון, in the hotel. Yeah, which hotel? Park Hotel. Where is Park Hotel? Right here. Park, you see? Park in equal skip. So we have Seder Pesach, the Lela Seder, in the hotel called Park. Who did the terrorism attack? The Hamas. Where is that? The Hamas in black?
The top. The first line.
Right here. Hamas. Chet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hamas. Okay? So, a terrorism attack in Malone Park, in Park Hotel by the Hamas, were in the Torah 3,314 years ago. I'll let you sneak a question over there.
Is it possible, or has anyone ever tried to, let's say, decode events in the future? Everything that you're measuring are things that happen.
Yes. There's ways to know the future, but in a very limited way. I don't know if you were here when I spoke 20 minutes ago about the Michael Drosnin that went to Yitzhak Rabin and warned him that he's going to get killed. How would he have known it? He checked in a computer and he knew what to look for. There were many talkings in the Israeli politics in those days against him, for giving the land of Israel to the Arabs for nothing. The right wings used to threaten his life. The rabbis say that what he have done, he deserved execution. There were a lot of noise in the Israeli politics against him. It wasn't so difficult to guess that he's going to get assassinated. So this American one, I guess he was involved with what's happening in Israel. He wanted to know if they're really going to kill him in the end or not. And while he was entering that, he found it appears in the Torah. That's why he went and warned him. But I'll give you something that happened. In the first Gulf War, when Saddam Hussein and Iraq invaded Kuwait, the Americans, George Bush the father, the first one, warned Iraq to leave Kuwait, and if by February 15 they won't leave, United States will attack Iraq. Dr. Doron Witztum entered the Hebrew date of February 15, whatever the date was, and the computer did not find it. The computer found Gulf War, Milchemet HaMifratz, in equal skip in one page, George Bush in the same page, Saddam Hussein in the same page, everything in the same page. We only need the date. When he put the ultimatum date of United States to Iraq, the computer did not find it. He put the next day, February 16, because they're not always starting right away when they give the ultimatum, right? It did not appear. 17 did not appear. The 18, 3 days later, appeared. He called one rabbi here in Monsey, and he told him, the war will not start like the American says. It will start 3 days later. How do you know? I check in the codes. Here is an example that he was able to know the future. Why he was able to know the future? Because he knew what to look for. I'll give you an example. Let's say I have a slide that showed that the Torah knew about the AIDS. AIDS, it's appeared in the Torah in equal skip. It shows that it's a disease in the blood. It shows things, it causes death. It's all in the same page, which accidentally appears in the chapter in the Torah of Sodom and Gomorrah that got punished for the homosexuality. So AIDS appear in the same page in equal skip. Coincidence? Of course not. But what's the name of the doctor that will find cure for AIDS? Let's say there is a doctor, whatever you want to call him, Lee, Mr. Lee, whatever. Mr. Lee in 5 months from now will come to the world and say, I found the medicine for AIDS. It's working in 24 hours. His name already in the Torah. We just don't know what name to enter. A minute after they will announce in CNN, Dr. such and such just found the cure for the AIDS, you come to the computer, you put the name, it's going to be right next to it. How couldn't you find it before? You're not a prophet. You didn't know what to look for. But it was always there. By the way, they'll never find a cure for the AIDS. They will only find a vaccine to prevent it from entering the body. That's the best they can do. Once the AIDS is in the body, they will never be able to find a cure for it. They can find medicine that will make life much longer. Delay the death by another 10 years or another 20 years, which they already done. But to find a cure that will remove it from the body, they'll never find, because it's mutation. It keeps changing to different things. If it's B, you put minus B, it changed to C. You put minus C, it changed to D. There's no end to it. Yes?
Can we put Obama and see if there's any election?
Obama? You know Chelsea Clinton.
Hillary.
Oh, you already know it? Okay, so we go. Say it. Chelsea Clinton went to visit the troops in Iraq. So she came to one macho commander over there. She said, look at you, you're 7 feet tall. So she said, shh, tell me, somebody like you ever get scared? You ever get scared with all these bombs here? So he said, very rarely, but there are 3 things that scares me very much. She said, 3? Not 1, not 2, 3. Which are the 3? He said, Osama. Oh, Osama bin Laden, everyone is afraid of him. Okay, that's no big deal. Osama, I got it. He said, who's the next one? He said, Obama. So she got very happy. At least he ate Obama. Then she said, and what's the 3rd one? He said, your mama. Osama, Obama, your mama. Yeah. Wait with the question. Wait. Okay, shh. Okay, shh. About 5 years ago, shh. I see you losing your patience. We don't have that much more time. Anyway, 10 more minutes, shh, and we will finish. Let me get to the cherry on the cream. Shh. Okay. Just 5 years ago, there was one woman, a teller in the bank. A teller in the bank in Israel. It's called Bank LeMischar, a trading bank. Her name was Eti Alon. She stole so much money from the bank for her brother that was a gambler. He had an addiction for gambling. Millions of millions of millions they were stealing from the bank, and nobody found it. By the time they found out, it was too late. The bank collapsed and all the people lost their money. That's happened in Israel. It was over the news. Until now, they're sometimes speaking about it. There was just recently an article about her brother is in jail. She's in jail. The Torah spoke about it and gave us information even about something like this. First of all, fraud, me'ilah. Me'ilah means a big fraud. And the actual chapter here speaking about money. Look, Avraham is buying the cave in Hebron from Ephron for 400 shekel kesef. So, what words we have here? We have bank, lemischar, bank, lemischar, so that's the name of the bank. Fraud, forgery, remia, and let's see what other words we have here. Oh, that's it. Now, just few years ago in Israel, there was a big mixed dancing wedding when all the men and women were dancing together to not modest music. And guess what happened? The entire floor, the dancing floor collapsed. You're laughing today. I remember that day that it happened, everybody was in shock. The Palestinians were shooting in the air because it was better than any terrorism attack that they would have planned. I remember that day. Shh. The entire people that were dancing on the floor collapsed to the basement level. Many people died and some got saved. What's in the investigation? They found that the ceiling that they were using on the bottom floor, the ceiling which is the floor of the next floor, it's called falcal. It's very weak material. It wasn't approved 100%. They changed the rules in Israel because of that completely. But this is the name of the engineer that he got convicted. And about this tragedy is Dror Shefer. And another person named Ron. Or Ron Shefer, I'm not so sure with their names. But their names appear in equal skip right here. Falcal, it's the name of the material. Tikrat Falcal, Chalusha, weak. And this is give us information about this tragedy in equal skip with the name of the people are in charge. Actually, one of these people was the Khatan, that he had this wedding. In the wedding of this person, the name of the Khatan, the groom, it's in the Torah in equal skip, and the tragedy that happened. Here comes the best slides, in my opinion. Shh. Here. Shh. Migdalei Ateomim, the twin towers in equal skip of 71. 71 and 36. You can see Migdalei, it's in red here. Mem, Gimel, Daled, Lamed, Yud. Migdalei 71. Hateomim 36 in the same page. How did it fall? Matos, airplane, Mem, Tet, Vav, Samech, airplane 33, equal skip. How many times? Twice, Pa'amayim, twice. Naflu, they fell. Le'enehem, in front of their eyes. Lamut sham, all kinds of words that connect. Ipil, knock down. So matos, knock down an airplane. Knock down the twin towers twice. Matos, airplane 33. Ipil, knock down 39. The twin towers twice.
What parasha was this?
What parasha?
What is it?
Here, look at the text. Vatamot sham Miriam, vatikaver sham. Ken, you see that? Velo haya maim laeda. Ken, that's...
In Vayikra. No, it's in Bamidbar. It says yeah.
Bamidbar. That's when Miriam died and the well of Miriam did not give water anymore. And that chapter, that's what happened. It's describing us the twin towers knocked down twice by an airplane. Wait. Who was the one who knocked it down? Bin Laden. You see? Bin Laden. You see Bin Laden? Shh. But it doesn't just say Bin Laden. It say Arur Bin Laden should be cursed. And equal skip. Shh. Here. Who is in charge of that? Al-Qaeda. Aleph, Lamed, Qaeda. You see, Al-Qaeda. The terrorists. Al-Qaeda, Ha-Mechablim. Ha-Mechablim, equal of 6. Hey, 6. Mem, 6. Chet, 6. Bet, 6. Lamed, Vav, Mem. Ha-Mechablim. Terror. Where is the terror? Ha-Terror. The terror. Equal skip of 20. Hey, Tet, Resh, Vav, Resh. What do you want more than this? Here. Shh. The angel came to Yaakov and had a fight with him all night until the sunrise. And he made Yaakov crippled. And then Yaakov tell him, I'm not going to let you go. What's your name? He told him, why are you asking for my name? ויברך אותו. And then he gave him a blessing. למה זה תשאל לשמי? Equal skip, Shem Mashiach. The name of Mashiach in equal skip right next to the word Shmi. What? Shem Machala. We are talking now about a disease. Which disease? The name of the disease. Sakeret, diabetic. Samech, Kaf, Resh, Taf. Samech, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sakeret. The name of the machala. What's the cure for sakeret? Where does sakeret attack? I'm sorry. Where does the sakeret attack? In the pancreas. How do you say pancreas in Hebrew? Lavlav. Lamed, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 4. Lavlav. So sakeret, diabetic. It attacks in the pancreas. It's the name of the disease, diabetics. You see? Sakeret, diabetic, pancreas, that's the name of that disease.
What's that, Rabbi? Nun tet kufay. Hakatan or natka?
Hakatan.
Hakatan? What's that?
I guess, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay, AIDS. AIDS. Aleph, Yud, Dalet, Samech. Mavet. Death. Where? Badam. Bet, Dalet, Mem. Which chapter? The angels coming to Lot. The angel coming to Lot say, you don't have that much time left. Take your family and leave. Why? Pen tisafe be'avon ha'ir. That you may die with them together. What's the word? AIDS in equal skip in the chapter that's speaking about the sex crimes they used to commit over there. Interesting. It relates always to the subject. Here he gives us a little bit more. HIV. The HIV. What is it? Hachisun. You see? What does he do? Harus. Hachisun. What's the vaccine system? What do we call the system? The immune. Oh. The immune system is finished, destroyed. Chisun, harus, in equal skip. Why? AIDS. HIV. In equal skip. No? Yes, over there.
Are only tragedies decoded?
No, also good things.
I'm not saying to be funny, I'm really serious. Are there any...
We've heard only bad.
Should I tell you a secret?
Vamos a good thing.
Let's pretend there's no camera here. Ah.
Like, why don't big rabbis take these codes and like show all the anti-Semites, like, look, we're not crazy. Like, these are...
I have news for you. The Goyim, most of them, those who know religion, not only they don't think we're crazy, they think we are the chosen people. Hundreds of times, non-Jews came to me in public places or in airports or in planes, and they say, whatever the argument is, bottom line, you are the chosen people. I once went to the auction, more than 10 years ago, with another guy to buy a car. So that guy, you know, he had a black hat, long beard. I was standing next to him and talked to him. There was one guy that works inside he's working for the auction, he's driving the cars in. An American guy, he was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was even wearing like a uniform of an army or something like this. So he looks at us, he said, you guys are Jewish, right? I said, oh, what happened here now? He said, tell me. He looks at me, tell me, what is the whatever Palestinians wants from you? Don't they know that God gave you the land? What, are they crazy? They don't know. Everybody knows God gave you the land. You are the chosen people. So after he was very angry, this guy, I remember he was driving a Lexus in. So I looked at the entire wheel. You know, they have like a square on the wheel in the middle, and there's the L. So I told him, you know, imagine this is the Middle East, this entire wheel. You see this little L here? This is already bigger than Israel. So they have the entire wheel, and you see what we have? And from that now they want 90%. They want to leave us at that. That's when he lost it. He started to, the rest you can imagine. Okay, I think it's enough. But I want to add one last thing here. You know, there is one slide. I took it off the lecture because some people take it too personal about the Holocaust. I don't see any survivors here, Baruch Hashem, so I can bring it verbally right now. There is a page that's speaking about the Holocaust. If you put the word Adolf Hitler, it finds it in the same chapter, in equal skip. Adolf Eichmann, same chapter. Rudolf Hess, same chapter. Apitaron Asofi, the final solution, in the same chapter. Zyklon Bet, Zyklon B, it's the gas they used to use, in equal skip, in the same chapter. HaShoah, the Holocaust. Many words that connects, I think if I remember correctly, more than 30 words that connects, relates to the Holocaust, in the same chapter, in equal skip. And which chapter? That's speaking about the Holocaust that may happen. Of course, there's many other codes that we can show from now until next year. The idea is clear. We got an idea that inside the Torah, the creator of the world gave us information in equal, mathematical, minimal, planned codes. It's not coincidence. Now, the best part, in my opinion, is that not only that it's impossible to plan a story that really took place with all the correct details and insight to make sure that every 50 letters you have this word, and every 70 letters you have this word, and every 20,000 letters you have this word. Without changing the actual story, it's impossible. I make a deal with you. Find me one person in the world. I give him all the technology he wants, all the computer he wants, all the assistance that he wants, whatever he wants to use, permitted, to write to me one chapter, like the size of the chapters of the Torah, and tell us what happened in Great Neck in the last 30 years since the first Persian Jew landed here with his rags and a Gondi. He came to look for a place. You know how the Jews come to places. Why all the Jews were living in Lower East Side? Because that's where the port was. They came from Europe. They landed in Seaport. They started to walk. He goes with his wife, Rivkale. I see this building. He knocks on the door. It's for sale. He opened the suitcase. He bought it. Then his uncle came. He said, come, there's a place. His uncle bought across the street. Later on, you had 50,000 Jews living in Lower East Side. Same thing. One Persian like Great Neck. I don't know for whatever reason. Maybe he heard there's good bagels here. So he came here. And now how many? 30,000? Bli Ayin Hara, how many? 40? Oh, I have a big job here to do. 40,000, we didn't even get to 1,000 yet. Okay, so now to conclude, I make a deal with him. Take all the technology, all the assistant, write for me one chapter, let's say 1,000 words, that's all. and describe exactly in a chronological order what happened in Great Neck in the last 30 years, and inside plant 20 words in equal skip. Just 20 words. Every time he would like to plan a word, he's going to have to change the words around. To move this word, to move this letter, to move that, to change the spelling. It will never end. Why? Because he's not God. Yes?
In the book Moby Dick, it has assassination.
Thank you. Shh. I got the question. Just to let you know, when the scientist and the mathematician, they checked the Torah, they didn't only check the Torah. They checked 130 books. Among them the New Testament, the Quran, Moby Dick, Milon Even Shushan, it's an Israeli dictionary. Milchama Veshalom, it's a famous book. All kinds of famous books. And other than some coincidental skips that here and there they found one or two, because obviously there's some coincidence here and there, they did not find anything that even come closer to what the Torah has. 20, 30, 10 words in one chapter, all in equal mathematical skip. They did not find it in any of the books. So now, the conclusion is somebody knew everything that's going to happen. I have only one last thing to finish, which we did not finish this night, is to answer your second question. We answered the first, everybody forgot about your question, but we have your second question. Your second question is how it did not eliminate our free choice. That's a hard one. If it's all printed in a Torah in equal skip, it means we don't have a choice. So the answer to your question is, in the Goal 4, when we put inside the computer, the city of Tel Aviv will be bombed, העיר Tel Aviv תופצץ, the computer found it an equal skip. Then we started to have this argument. Wait a minute, so that means it was all a part of the plan. Righteous, wicked, it doesn't matter. Bombs should have fallen Tel Aviv. We entered the computer, העיר Tel Aviv לא תופצץ. The city of Tel Aviv will not get bombed. And he also found it in equal skip in the same chapter. You got it? I'm looking at the wrong one. You got it? You got it. Plus, if you want to be more convinced, watch my lecture in the website about the free choice. I have a whole 2 or 3 hours lecture about the free choice. We'll do it here in Great Neck one time. It's one of the hardest questions in life, is about the free choice. But to conclude it with one word, the knowledge, the external knowledge of God does not interfere with our choices and our action. The fact that God can travel to the future and see in the end what you chose and where did you head to, did not interfere in any step of your life with your free choices. You chose what to do. If I give you an envelope and I write inside everything you're going to do until tomorrow night and I put it in your pocket and I tell you open it tomorrow night, and you chose what to eat, you chose what to wear tomorrow, what to do, how to do, and when you open tomorrow night the envelope, you saw somehow I'm a magician or prophet and I was able to predict and to know exactly what you're going to do. Me knowing what you're doing does not interfere with what you chose and what you wanted to do. So that's hard for us to understand, but if that wouldn't be the case, why did God bother giving us a Torah with so many warnings? Why? If we were robots and He made us without free choice and He's moving us with remote control, why He's telling me in a Torah, be careful, do not be wicked, you have to observe the Sabbath, you have to dress modest, you have to eat kosher, I'm going to punish you, I'm going to reward you. What's all this? It doesn't make sense. If I move if I have a puppet and I move it with a remote control, left, right, and the puppet falls in the stairs, and I'm picking up the puppet, you fool! Why did you, don't you see the stairs here? Why did you fall down now? I gotta now go and fix you. You broke into pieces. Somebody will look at me For sure, I won't be able to come to Great Neck one more time. That's for sure. But they'll send me to Abarbanel. You know where Abarbanel is? It's a mental place in Israel. Why? Because I'm a mental case. If I move the puppet with the remote to the stairs and the puppet fell on right down there, and I moved it, what do I want from him? I have to punish myself. If God moves us and pulls the strings and He chose for us what to do, why did He bother giving us a warning book? Why does He give punishment? What for? It's not in our hand. Not only you chose for me to kill someone, now you send me to jail for another 25 years? Doesn't make sense. God is a little bit more intelligent than us. You have to agree with me, right? Even a person wouldn't make such a law to punish somebody that he pushed down the hill. You took a person to the 10th floor, you pushed him from the terrace, and now you're going to punish him. Doesn't make sense. Now remember, everything that it's in our hand, there is reward and punishment for that. Anything that it's not in our hand, we never got punished, and we will never will. For instance, nobody ever got punished if he has blonde hair. Nobody ever got punished if he has green eyes. There's no punishment in the Torah. You have green eyes, I'll take care of you. You never saw it. That's the answer. That's the answer to people who commit sex crimes and homosexuality, and they say, what do you want from me? I was born like this. It's not in my hand. Nonsense. If your Creator wrote in a book that there's a very serious punishment for that, and it's one of the worst violations against God to do such a thing, that means it's in your hand. It could be more difficult for this individual than the other, but it's 100% in his will. And if he was working very hard, he would come out of it. Many other people in this life have psychological problems. It's a part of the test of life. And we have to deal with that and to overcome the situation. In 14 years that I dealt with so many people, I was able 3 times to take a person that was a complete gay, he doesn't want to even look at ladies, and take them out of it, and they establish wonderful Jewish homes. They keep Shabbat, Tefillin, they became perfectly normal. And they say there's no way in the world that I can even start. One of them called me after 10 months, and he called me, I never saw him face to face, it was all done through the phone. And he told me, I call you now to tell you the mission is completed, I'm getting married in a week, and I cannot wait for the moment I'm going to hug and kiss my wife. Wow. You understand? That's after 10 months of conversation through to the morning. Why? It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. Yes?
You have like these homosexuals who are like flaming gay. Like,
yeah.
There's different kinds. There's the kind that...
Right, I agree. We are not talking at people that were normal and then one day they decided to do all kinds of things. We're talking about those who were born and raised like this, feminine, right? So I want to tell you something. Every person in life has a weakness. A man has a weakness to steal. His friend has a weakness to ladies. The other person has a weakness to lie all the time. The other one has a mental disease that he needs attention. We all have that, by the way. Some more, some less. But, yeah, people think that mental cases is only people that speak to themselves in a hospital. Hey, Mr. Jones, how are you doing? Hey, how are you doing over there? No. These people, by the way, they have dibukim. They're not mental. They have 2 souls in one body. But that's in life after life. You'll understand that. But there are, each one of us in this room is having mental problems. Some of us are overproud. Some of us are jealous. Some of us are stingy. Some of us don't have any faith. We live with no faith. We fear from everything. We worry. We cry over things. We're panicking. Each one of us has a mental problem. The Torah is the cure for all the mental problems. If you learn a lot of Torah, you know that to be stingy, it's like to bow down to Buddha. Same thing. Why? Someone who bows down to Buddha, that means he is my God. There's no God. He is my God. This gold that I just made yesterday, now is going to save me. Understand? So if I bow down to him, I really saying I don't believe in you. If I'm stingy, I'm also saying I don't believe in you. You told me in the Torah to be generous, and I don't believe that you'll give me money for being generous to the poor people. Since I don't believe in you, I want to keep the money for myself. That's a mental problem. You understand? It can be changed. Or anger. Chazal say someone who is an angry wolf is like equal to a Jew that bound down to idols. Oved avodah zara. For years I didn't see. What's the connection? Idols and angry person? One guy walk on the street. Hi, Jojo, how are you? Not good. So why are you so angry? So, because people make me angry. So I told him, you're a fool. If people wouldn't make you angry, how would you be angry? Everyone that is angry, somebody got him angry. It's always the case. People say, I'm not angry. He made me, he drives me crazy. Angry without anyone getting you angry, then you're really a mental case. You got the point? I used to go to buy ice cream from this guy in the neighborhood. Once everybody was scared from him to death, all the kids. Because you couldn't even ask him, how are you? It's none of your business, he screamed. How are you? It's none of your business. Once you buy ice cream in Israel, they take newspaper and they wrap it. Accidentally, I wanted to buy banana, I bought vanilla. All of a sudden, I realized it's the wrong one. Can I change it? Because like this, you say, take the money, just run away from his face. Why? Crazy. Man, no belief, no nothing. Each one of us is sick, mentally. The Torah come and said, 100%. If you're jealous with somebody else, that's a sickness. That's a sickness. Why it's a sickness? I have my individual test, and my friend has his individual test. My friend has to give a lot of tzedakah, because in his previous life he was very stingy, and he failed his test. He did not give tzedakah to the Torah, and to kiruv for other Jews, or to the poor people, or to the widows. God reincarnated him with the same test. He has another chance this time to give tzedakah. That's why he gave him millions of dollars. I passed that test in my previous life. I was very generous. I was born with no money. Why? My job is not to be generous. I was already. I passed that. So I don't have a test to give money. So why? I'm coming and jealous with a rich person. Should be the other way around. Why should I be jealous with him? He is in the middle of a test. And almost nobody passed this test. Check the wealthy people. I promise you. Almost none of them give even 1% from their money tzedakah. Supposed to give minimum 10. And if they're millionaires or billionaires, they should give 80% of their money to tzedakah. God gave a person $1 billion. What for? To drive a car from gold? To eat gold? To sleep on a gold bed? What for? Why did God take a Jew and gave him $5 billion? Here. He's 40 years old, he has $5 billion. Why do you think God put him in such a position? To hide the money in all kinds of accounts and one day to die and the United States government will take half of it? Or that his children will buy yachts and smoke drugs and go to clubs? What exactly he gave him the money for? To sponsor the yeshivot, to help the widows, to help the orphans, to open mikveh, and the most important thing, to get all the non-religious Jews closer to Hashem. Many ways to do it. What is this guy did? He took the money and concentrate on the money. What do I mean? I give a guy a car. I tell him, take this car, you have to drive from here to LA.
Guys, come on.
Come on. You have to drive to LA. You have 1 week of driving, and when you get to LA, you get your reward for the ride. You're moving the car from New York to LA. So the guy drives the car. After 1 mile, he takes it to the car wash. Then another mile, he changed the tires. Another mile, he changed the entire things. He doesn't like the stereo system. He's busy with the car non-stop. Then after a week, I call him, are you there? What do you mean? I'm 5 miles away from you. Why? Come on, what a car is this? I had to change it from A to Z. So I told him, you fool. That wasn't the purpose of the trip, to take care of the car. The purpose of the trip was for you to get there, not to take care of the car. God gives us things. He gives us beds, He gives us cars, He gives us money, He gives us food, He gives us houses, He gives us computer, whatever we have, books, all the things we have, to take it and to use it to make mitzvot that we earn a lot, that He should pay us the endless reward in the world to come. What are we doing? Focusing on what He gives us to make it our own God in our life. We only focus on the tools that He gave us to earn the real reward. Instead of dealing with the reward, we are busy with the tools. You understand? It's like He gave me this computer. I'm supposed to do nice things in the computer, type things, send email, do things. I'm busy with the computer, cleaning it, moving it, putting it on a shelf, hanging it on the wall. That's us. That's us. Some people came to this world. Why God made food? We have to eat to live. So what did we do? We live to eat. You got it? He gave us food, we eat in order for us to live. No, it's not anymore. Today we live to eat. Yeah. Which restaurant we going to go today, Dad? Which restaurant tomorrow? I once went to a dinner with a guy. 5 times he sent the waiter back into the kitchen because the steak was not exactly the way he wanted them. I was trying to hold myself. Then I couldn't. I said, tell me, you're crazy? 5 times you send him for this lousy steak, and if it's a little bit more delicious? What's the purpose of life? To be a chimpanzee? But that's another lecture. Any questions? No?
I have a question from before that I wasn't able to ask. With the Hassad Zvi, I don't understand why it had him twice in quotes.
With who?
With the Zvi guy, with the Hassad Zvi, the minister.
Zevi.
Zevi.
Sometimes it appears few times in codes. Remember, we told the computer to find us only the minimal skip. So if it's appear in 39 and 39, it will find it twice. But if it was 39 and 40, it will not know about the 40. It will only bring up the 39s.
Also, are you having any lectures on Shavuot?
Lecture on Shavuot, it's in yeshiva or in school. Now we have urgent things to do here, you know. You understand or no? If you want, you call me, I'll give you a lecture on Shavuot. Yeah. Come to Muncie, learn with us all night. Yeah.
The incident about the wedding and the hotel's floor collapsing?
Yeah.
What code show was that?
Don't remember. We have one more code, which I also took it out of the lecture because it's offended a lot of people. Yitzhak Rabin and the murderer Igal Amir, it's in the same page in equal skip with the mutual letter, the Resh. The Resh of Rabin is the Resh of Amir. To show you there's connection between the guys. Thank you very much. Good night.
I think the best one so far.
Yeah.